The shrill tone of my alarm startled me from sleep, urging me to fumble for its source. Gradually, the unfamiliar room came into focus. The sparsely furnished bedroom, the closet overflowing with another woman's garments, my wife's clothes. Despite the supposed promise of a new beginning, this lavish penthouse still felt alien. Last night's supposed joyous occasion, my wedding to Everett, now seemed surreal in the morning light. Blinking away sleep, I reached out across the vast expanse of the bed, finding only cold sheets where my groom should have lain. The clock's unforgiving hands revealed it was already 9:00 a.m. Where was Everett? Groggily, I shuffled to the kitchen, drawn by the enticing scent of fresh coffee. There, I encountered a rugged stranger standing casually by the elegant espresso machine, a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding us. His worn jeans and rumpled shirt clashed with the luxury of the setting. "Hey, you must be the new wife," he greeted me with a dimpled grin. "There's enough espresso for both of us." I stood frozen, struck by the awkwardness of the moment. Before I could respond, the sound of approaching footsteps heralded the arrival of Everett's mother, Marcella, her demeanor as severe as her tailored suit. Her gaze swept over me dismissively before settling on the stranger with a scowl. "You! I told you never to show your face here again. Get out before I call security," Marcella snarled. The stranger's grin faded as he retorted, "I still live here too, mother. You can't just wish me away." In that moment, realization dawned. This was Leo, Everett's estranged twin brother, conveniently omitted from our wedding plans. Marcella's venomous glare betrayed her disdain. She wasted no time in disowning Leo, condemning him for his perceived transgressions. Leo's defiance was palpable as he slammed his mug down, coffee spilling over the pristine countertops. With a final glance in my direction, he departed, leaving behind a tense silence. As the door echoed shut, the truth hit me. The fairy tale facade had shattered, revealing the dysfunction beneath. The in-laws I barely knew had become adversaries, and Everett was nowhere to be found. Leo's ominous warning lingered, foreshadowing the tumult to come. Over the ensuing weeks, I endeavored to assimilate into the family, clinging to the illusion of marital bliss. Despite Marcella's constant scrutiny and Everett's emotional distance, I maintained a facade of composure. Yet each day brought new challenges. Marcella's relentless criticisms, Everett's absence, and the suffocating expectations placed upon me. The breaking point arrived on a quiet Saturday morning, as I prepared Everett's favorite pancakes, only to realize that my sacrifices had become servitude, and my dreams of happiness were fading fast. Marcel was already bustling around the kitchen when I entered. "Oh, don't bother yourself, dear," she said with feigned concern. "I didn't want you exerting yourself. Why don't you relax?" My fists clenched around the whisk I was holding. "This is my household too. Please allow me," I retorted. Marcella's eyes flashed dangerously, but she begrudgingly stepped aside as I mixed the batter. Gaining a few pounds already. You should be more careful. Men can be so vain," she remarked. I gasped, nearly dropping the bowl. Before I could respond, she breezed out with one last jab. "Do tidy yourself before Everett wakes. We wouldn't want him to lose interest." The insinuation felt like a slap in the face. As I mindlessly spooned batter onto the griddle, tears blurred my vision. I had endured their abuse for weeks without complaint, but the Everett I loved would never stand for this. Why hadn't he intervened or confronted his mother about her horrible behavior? Speak of the devil, Everett emerged, freshly showered, ignoring me as he scrolled through his phone. "Everything okay, Everett?" I asked vaguely, wiping furiously at my eyes. Voicing the thought consuming me, I continued, "Don't you even care that she talks to me that way?" My voice broke despite my resolve. Everett blinked in surprise. "Who, your mother?" I cried. "She insults me every chance she gets, and you don't even notice." Sighing, he set his phone aside. "I'm sure you're exaggerating. She only wants what's best." "What's best for you, her precious son?" I cut him off angrily. "Meanwhile, she's turning me into a slave around here. I can't keep playing nice." Everett's expression darkened. "Avalon, That's extremely unfair. She welcomed you into our home when you had nobody. You owe her respect." He shook his head in disgust. "I can't talk to you when you're hysterical like this." "Everett, wait." My voice cracked, but the bedroom door had already slammed shut behind him. Hot, furious tears streamed down my cheeks. In a few short weeks, my husband had become an indifferent stranger under his mother's spell. Maybe Leo had warned me for a reason, if only I had listened. Suddenly suspicious, I rifled through Everett's desk drawers while he was out. Buried amongst credit card bills, I found photos of Everett with a glamorous blonde nuzzling at a seaside resort, their flashy rings conspicuous on their intertwined hands. The pancake batter solidified in the bowl forgotten. Leah was right. I needed to escape this madness. Perhaps it was time I finally listened. I raced out of the suffocating penthouse, photos clutched in one trembling hand, the evidence of Everett's betrayal feeling like a knife twisting in my gut. I blinked back furious tears as I aimlessly wandered the city streets. How could I have been so stupid, so naive? Everett had spun this silken web of lies, snaring me as his picture-perfect bride, and I had smiled obliviously through it all. Well, not anymore. Avalon, the pushover, was gone. From her ashes would rise a warrior, someone Marcella and Everett would rue crossing, lost in vengeful thoughts. I collided with the burly figure, his strong hands gripping my shoulders, steadying me. I froze, recognizing the familiar face. "We have to stop meeting like this," Leo said lightly, though his green eyes betrayed concern. "What are you doing out here alone?" On impulse, I thrust the incriminating photos at Leo. He studied them intently, brow furrowed. "I guess congratulations are in order," he finally said. "How does it feel to become another of my brother's disposable playthings?" His words stabbed painfully at the fresh wound, threatening to undo my resolve. Forcing strength into my voice, I replied, "Everett will regret the day he used me so callously, and Marcella will wish she never laid a hand on me." Leo let out an impressed whistle. Well, kitten shows her claws. I wouldn't want to be on your bad side." His amusement faded quickly, his expression turning solemn. "In all seriousness, Avalon, you need to get away while you still can," Leo advised. I bristled at his doubts. "After stealing myself for revenge, you think I can't handle them?" Leo's gaze was intense. "I've seen their games firsthand, how they use people up like disposable assets to further their own selfish interests," he explained. Pain creased the corners of his eyes. When I confronted Mother about her shady dealings, she convinced my own twin to turn against me. My anger wavered at the ache in his voice. This wasn't just a cautionary tale. It was Leo's lived trauma at the hands of my new in-laws. Noticing my sympathy, he added gently, "I know how intoxicating their web of lies can be, how easy it is to get drawn in and trapped. Don't waste any more time on them, Avalon. Just get out before you lose yourself too." His compassion pierced through my brewing storm of fury and bitterness. But no, I had already lost too much. My reputation, my self-worth, my identity. I needed to take it back, no matter the cost. Lifting my chin, new resolve flooding my veins, I replied, "I appreciate your concern, Leo, but I won't be scared off so easily. Your family hurt me deeply, and now they'll face the consequences." With unexpected fierceness, I pulled Leo into a brief, hard hug, then strode off without looking back, more determined than ever to make Everett and Marcella pay. Returning to the penthouse, bursting with self-righteous fury, I found only an empty apartment echoing with ghosts of my dashed dreams. Fine, if those cowards wanted to hide from confronting me, I would take advantage of their absence. I rifled through Marcella's home office, gathering financial statements and copying files off her computer onto a flash drive. My future mother-in-law's shady real estate schemes would be the lethal ammunition. Just as I finished, footsteps sounded outside. Hastily, I crammed the flash drive into my pocket just as Everett entered, his mother conspicuously absent. My husband swept his judging gaze over the chaotic scene. "What are you doing in Mother's office?" I forced nonchalance into my voice. "Oh, just familiarizing myself since we share everything now." I held his stare coolly. "Don't we, Everett?" His lips thinned. Is this about those ludicrous accusations earlier? You ransacking private property isn't exactly helping your mental state. I bristled as he went on. Mother thinks, and I'm starting to agree, that the stress of this transition has been too much for you emotionally. Perhaps we rushed into this marriage. His words landed like physical blows. After all I had endured from him and his toxic mother, now he was suggesting I was the problem. Blinded by outrage, I grabbed a heavy paperweight off Marcella's desk and hurled it viciously against the wall. It hit with a resounding crash, leaving a sizable dent. How dare you? My voice shook with fury and anguish. You bring me into your family under false pretenses. You stand by while your mother ridicules and abuses me. I stabbed an accusing finger at Everett. You betray our marriage vows through ongoing affairs. Then you accuse me of being mentally unwell. I tore the blonde woman's photo from my pocket and brandished it, making Everett visibly pale. Straightening my shoulders, I announced, this destructive dynamic ends today. You and your toxic mother don't own or control me any longer. I shoved past Everett, pausing at the doorway to deliver my parting blow. Consider this my line in the sand. I won't be caught off guard again when you inevitably cross it. I let my words sink in before walking away with my head held high. The time had come to launch my counterattack on Everett and Marcella for daring to use and abuse me. My marching orders were clear: destroy the source. I hastily packed my essentials, anxious to quit this toxic residence for good. As I rifled through my things, I uncovered items I had treasured during my brief marriage. Photo booth strips of Everett and me giggling together, the engraved Tiffany bracelet he gifted to my lovely wife. Bile rose in my throat. I swept the sentimental debris off the dresser, violently taking grim satisfaction from the noisy clatter. Let the maids deal with this false evidence tainting Everett's perfectly curated image. My raging thoughts were interrupted by a gentle clearing of the throat. I whirled around defensively before recognizing the sympathetic face of Sophia, one of the longtime housekeepers. Sorry to disturb you, Mrs. Avalon, Sophia said softly. I just wanted to say if you need any help, I'm here. I studied the older woman uncertainly. Why would a staff member risk defying her tyrannical employers to assist me? But Sophia's kind eyes held no deception. I decided to take a chance. Did you know? I asked bluntly about Everett's affairs and his mother's abuse. Sophia nodded shamefaced. Mrs. Marcella ensures our discretion, but please know I never condone their behavior. She hesitated before adding quietly, several former wives confided in me before receiving their severance packages. I absorbed this with dawning horror and clarity. My initial blind rage had narrowed my focus, but Sophia grounded me in the stark reality of this pattern of mistreatment. I was hardly the first to suffer this cruel cycle, merely the latest victim. If I didn't act decisively, I grabbed Sophia's hands urgently. I can't let them keep doing this, but I'll need proof to expose them: letters, photos, documentation. I held her earnest gaze. You've seen things, Sophia. With your help, we could end this toxic cycle for good. Sophia studied me for a long moment before giving a firm nod. Gather your evidence and do what must be done, she declared boldly. I should have spoken up long ago. Now we make this right. We quickly formulated a plan. With the family conveniently out of town, Sophia would secretly retrieve incriminating items from their offices while I moved out unnoticed. She would bring the evidence to Leo, who could help bring legal repercussions against his abusive family members. At last, I felt fully in control again. For the first time since entering the Williamson family's web of deceit, no more the powerless, pitiable victim. Now I commandeered my own rescue mission. The revelation of Everett and Marcella's transgressions would be my hard-won vengeance, a dish best served cold. Safely moved into Leo's modest apartment, I eagerly sorted through the mounting evidence Sophia had smuggled out of the lavish penthouse that was once my prison. Look at this, I told Leo excitedly, stacking meticulously labeled folders on his scarred kitchen table. Bank statements confirming the money Marcella embezzled from family trusts, deleted emails proving Everett's affairs with that tacky blonde. I grabbed Leo's arm, meeting his uncertain gaze fiercely. It's all here, enough to dismantle their web of lies and bring them to justice. Leo gently extracted himself from my impassioned grip. This is really impressive, Avalon, he said carefully. But are you sure this is just about justice for you? My enthusiasm faltered slightly as I registered the searching quality of Leo's stare. Exposing crimes was your original intention, he continued. But it kind of seems now like you just want to completely destroy them. His tone held no judgment, just open concern. I bristled, crossing my arms defensively. Trust me, after everything your family put me through, they deserve nothing less than complete annihilation. Leo held up his hands pleadingly. Hey, you definitely have the right to feel angry and vengeful. I have fantasized about revenge on Marcella and Everett enough times. A shadow crossed Leo's handsome features, stirring unpleasant memories. I just want you to search your own motives, Avalon, he said gently. If this is just about retaliating harm with more harm, that's not real justice, and it rarely resolves pain long-term. I had fantasized about revenge on Marcella and Everett enough times. A shadow crossed Leo's handsome features, stirring unpleasant memories. I just want you to search your own motives, Avalon, he said gently. If this is just about retaliating harm with more harm, that's not real justice, and it rarely resolves pain long-term. I bit my lip, considering his words. Was I letting bitterness consume me, blinding me from what I truly sought? Did I want the catharsis of watching Marcella and Everett suffer, or did I actually want to be finally free of them? I let that sink in with satisfaction. We had them cornered at last. These loathsome snakes I had once thought family. Justice would soon be served. I spared one last contemptuous glance for Everett and Marcella's shell-shocked faces before striding out gracefully, head held high. The dragon had been triumphantly slain. Time for this warrior to ride into the sunset along her new path. I rolled over with a blissful sigh, warm sunshine bathing my face instead of the cavernous penthouse that had been my prison. I awoke in Leo's cozy second bedroom. No toxic people or memories lingering here to torment me, only my newfound freedom. The feeling amplified when Leo appeared, bearing 2 mugs of fragrant coffee. Accepting mine with a grateful smile, I declared impulsively, "Let's go to the beach today." Leo nearly choked mid-sip in surprise before chuckling. Well, someone is clearly enjoying their liberation. What prompted this? I stretched lazily, higher spirits than I'd felt in ages infusing me. The thought just occurred to me that I can actually do whatever I want now without asking permission. It was true, the permanent clouds of fear and uncertainty had finally lifted. I had broken decisively from Everett and Marcella, now awaiting sentencing thanks to the overwhelming evidence Leo and I provided. My lawyers were ruthlessly pursuing both the divorce and criminal restitution I deserved. Meanwhile, Sophia and other staff had surfaced with their own grievances. Yesterday, I received a call that the family company would be permanently dissolving under the weight of lawsuits and criminal probe. No sympathetic connections or crisis PR could save the disgraced mother and son. Now karma comes for us all eventually, Leo remarked when I shared the news, his expression turning solemn. Still, seeing Everett's life unravel this way is harder than I expected. He's still my twin, you know. I covered his hand gently, acknowledging the pain and history only Leo fully understood. You have such a big heart behind that gruff exterior, Leo, I said softly. He grunted ambiguously. Yeah, well, guess we both turned out as the black sheep. Rising from ashes, a slow, genuine smile warmed his rugged features. At least neither of us is alone anymore. No, we're not alone, I agreed contentedly. Together we have faced pain and adversity, emerging indelibly bonded and renewed. I had arrived broken and bent, but now confidence and conviction ran through my veins. I had reclaimed myself, then helped Leo do the same for himself. There was power and beauty in our shared resilience. Later that sunny afternoon, we strolled down the beach, salty breeze kissing our smiling faces with a promise of brighter days ahead. My battle was over, justice served. The only path now was purposefully forward, side by side. Leo and I left 2 trails of footprints in the wet sand, evidence that we had been here and refused to be erased. Proof that even the next waves couldn't completely wipe our slate clean. We would carry both damage and redemption forever. But at least we weren't traveling alone anymore. And that made even scars look beautiful in their own way.